Blog Talk Radio.
Some think he is a myth. Some believe he is the chosen one who will bring balance to a world at war. And some will stop at nothing to destroy him.
Welcome everybody to Morris Talk Live 100. I'm your host, Tarhaka Amana El Bay. And tonight, our special guest, Dr. Walter Williams, he and I will be discussing the British plot to destroy Ethiopian culture and spiritualism. Okay? So make sure you all tune in to this segment because we're going to be laying out some very, very important information. And before we get started, however, I'm going to go into the commercials. I want to add, for those of you who are new and have not received my free report yet, go to www.newdebtelimination.com. Click on the Contact Us button up top and fill out the little form, and that'll come to my email address, and I'll send you my free report that contains quite a bit of information, including my couple of files, so that you can know what's going on inside the United States. That's newdebtelimination.com. Click on the Contact Us button, and I will send you absolutely free my free report. Also, I've been asked by quite a few people about a new business opportunity, and we have one now, so you can go right to newdebtelimination.com, right there on the home page. The first video you get to, right above the video, is a link that you can click on and go right there and sign up. You get your free website and free back office. Doesn't cost you a dime. You can sign up. The only other thing that you have to do after that, when you get ready, is to buy you some of that product. I use it every day. It is beautiful. And I would like for you to watch the video there so you know exactly what we're talking about. Excellent opportunity for networking, excellent opportunity for your health. Right there, newdebtelimination.com. Click on the video right there on the home page. You can see the video right above the video is the link to get your free website and back office. Don't cost you a dime. Okay? Now, let me go into these commercials before we go down in this broadcast. And I'll be right back. Hold on a moment.
Hi, I'm Tarhaka. I have questions. What does it mean to be a creditor? What is a secured party? Just what does it mean, all rights reserved and without prejudice? Just what does it all mean? What is the law exactly? To know it all And to use it all, go to www.newdebtelimination.com. That's www.newdebtelimination.com. Get yourself together. Get out of debt now. Learn how to be a creditor and not a debtor. www.newdebtelimination.com. Call me directly. Tarhaka Monreal Bay, 904-303-9061. Before 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
P.O. boxes are outdated and digital mailboxes are in. Worry about missed or theft of mail or packages when you're not home? Want to know what's in your mailbox without having to get in your car and catch a ride to the post office? Do you have a need for an alternative address or phone number to use instead of your home address and personal phone number? What if you could get rid of the paper clutter by scanning and storing documents all in one place? Your mailbox address works like any street address. We take a picture of the mail and upload it to your account and notify you. You log in from any device and with one click tell us what you want us to do with each one. You'll love your digital mailbox at www.businessfront.space. Calling all singers, rappers, musicians, and entertainers. Y'all Heard Radio has radio promotion for you. You heard? Download our app, Y'all Heard Radio. That's YAHHEARD Radio from your Google Play Store today. Y'all Heard Radio provides a commercial platform for independent artists. Tune in our live stream at www.yallheardradio.com and join our international listeners for commercial-free clean music in all genres. Have your music played among the best. Build your fan base, receive licensing and royalty opportunities. For promotion or more information, go to our Contact Us page at www.yallheardradio and create your login credentials for access to log in to sign up. For more information, call 904-900-5517. You heard?
You don't have to lose your home due to foreclosure. You don't have to worry about child support. You don't have to be in credit card debt. Have no fear. Tarhaka Armana El Bay is here at newdebtelimination.com. Got student loans, child support, mortgages? Contact someone who's got the experience and the knowledge to get you back under God's law. That's Tarhaka Armana El Bay. He's been there, he's done that, and he can prove it. Just give him a call at 904-303-9061. That number again is 904-303-9061. And log on to newdebtelimination.com. That's newdebtelimination.com and get yourself free.
All right, everybody, we back. Now, tonight, the British plot to destroy Ethiopian culture and spiritualism. What was that about? What's the story behind that? I see my guest is in the queue, but before we go to my guest, I see another caller with his hand raised at area code 312. I'm going to open up the line so we can find out who they are, where they're calling from, and what's on their mind before we get started, okay? Area code 312, you in the queue. What's on your mind? Tell us who you are, where you calling from.
Oh, good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Brother Yoel. Hailing from
Brother
Chicago,
Yoel.
the old Windy City here.
Okay, well,
his
welcome,
underground bookstore home.
All right, my brother. Well, I
thank
certainly
you,
appreciate you being on the board tonight. And if you just hold on, I'm going to open up the line and let my brother get in here before we have our powwow tonight. So just hold on. Okay, let's go to area code 773. Dr. Walter Williams, are you with us tonight?
Yes, I'm here, Brother Tarhaka.
All right. Welcome, my brother. Welcome to our end of the month call that we do every month, the last Sunday of the month. Unless something comes up, we have to make little slight changes. But for the most part, every last Sunday of every month we're on. And tonight I think we got a very, very important topic to discuss so that everybody can know about that, because a lot of people simply don't know what happened in Ethiopia. So, without further ado, my brother, I'd like to give you the floor, and you can let us know what's on your mind and where you want to start, whatever it is you want to do. You have the floor.
Brother Tarhaka, did you get email correspondence from me with the article of Thomas Macaulay, who was a member of the British Parliament, who stood before the British Parliament and told the British Parliament about his time in Africa? Did you get that email?
Yes, I did, and I'm going to have to bring that back up. That came from you, is that correct, or was that your wife said that?
Well, she sent it, but it came to me by one of my dear friends and student, Brother Jay, out of Pasadena, California. He was the one that emailed it to me, and I thought it was such a dynamic subject that our African community and the rest of the world should know about what happened in Ethiopia and to the Ethiopians at that time. As you know, Ethiopia has never ever been colonized by the Europeans. You see, even though sometime back, I think it was last year, that you and I had a program on how Christianity got into Ethiopia. What dates and the names of the people, and et cetera, et cetera. So this is something that's out here in the world today, floating around, that I think that should be, with this information being floated around in this form, it should be placed in the proper place and attached to the proper people and situation, and give it some type of strength that way. So that's the reason why I sent you that email correspondence relating to this subject that we're going to talk about tonight. So if you have it, I'd like for you to read it.
Okay, well, I'm searching for where I put it because I did have it, and I still do have it, but I'm trying to. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. I think I got it right here. Yep, I think I got it right here, and let's see what this here thing says. Let me open this up. It says, I have traveled, and this is Lord Macaulay's address to the British Parliament on the 2nd of February, 1835. Lord Macaulay's. Okay. I have traveled across the length and breadth of Africa, and I have not seen one person who is a beggar, who is a thief. Such wealth I have seen in this country, such high moral value, people of such caliber, that I do not think we would ever conquer this country unless we break the very bone of this nation, which is her spiritual and cultural heritage. And therefore, I propose that we replace her old and ancient education system, her culture. For if the Africans think that all that is foreign and English is good and greater than their own, they will lose their self-esteem, their native culture, and they will become what we want them, a truly dominated nation. That's incredible. Nothing better to do than to try to just destroy righteousness. good and replaced it with evil and wickedness, degradation. Amazing. There you have it, Dr. Williams. That's exactly what you said.
I'm glad you brought that out, and this is our subject and topic this evening that we're going to discuss. And this is the base foundation of how white supremacy works and white dominance work. That one race of people have the audacity to try to dominate the whole world, which they have done for 2,350 years. 2,350 years, this white male has dominated this planet that we call Earth and all the people therein, including their own. Like I always said, that Europeans have terrorized this whole entire world, including themselves. Every inch of this earth and every people living on this planet Earth and their country and culture has been terrorized and invaded by the European. But I want the people to know of the world to know this. Not one race of people on earth, no place, has ever invaded Europe or terrorized Europe or the Europeans. But they have, in turn, they have terrorized every inch of this earth and every human walking this earth of all races, creeds, and color, including themselves. So now we're bringing and pinpointing another way of enforcing white supremacy on other people. And the other people that I'm talking about is the people of Ethiopia. This was done by first being done when the Church of England began to come up with a bright idea to send missionaries into Ethiopia to bring Christianity to the Ethiopian people. Like I said before, it is noted in history that the Ethiopians, or the country of Ethiopia and its people, has never been colonized by anyone. No Europeans or no other race of people has ever colonized Ethiopia. The first dominance or the try of dominance by white supremacists was done by the Church of England in 1829 when they sent a missionary group under the leadership of Thomas Gobat. And this is 1829. So now you have 6 years later, you have Thomas Macaulay, who was a member of the British Parliament, standing before the British Parliament and making those statements that you read so eloquently, Brother Tarhaka. And he, as you mentioned, made these statements talking about a proud people, talking about the Ethiopian people. They were not beggars, nor were they thieves. They had high values and high esteem. And then he goes on to say, we cannot conquer this country and people unless we break their spirituality and their culture in order to conquer them. In order to conquer them, we must replace her old educational system and replace it with them getting to think that what is foreign and English is better than what they have and what they're currently using in their culture. They will then lose their esteem. And once they lose their esteem, they will become a dominated people. And this is what Thomas Macaulay wanted the British to do there, and they did it. But this is how they did it. They, under the leadership of Thomas Goldbat in 1829, with a group of missionaries coming from the Church of England to try to bring to the Ethiopian people the practice and the use of Christianity. Use that in their culture. In other words, replace their culture with Christianity. Christianity, as you know, is white male dominated because why? Because you have a dead white man on their cross. They call Jesus the Christ. That is a symbol of white supremacy, which is institutionalized in all Christian churches throughout America and throughout the world. That dead white image on the cross represents the icon and the symbol of white supremacy. So the first step to destroy the Ethiopian culture, pride, and esteem of these people was to get them to accept something that was better and foreign and English in their culture, which was done through the years by way of the Church of England, sending missionaries into Ethiopia to do just that, to bring Christianity to Ethiopia, which they did, beginning in 1829. Now, it didn't work because at this time it didn't work, 1829, because the Ethiopian people, being a proud people, having their own culture, never been invaded by foreign outsiders, especially Europeans, they rejected Thomas Goldbat and those missionaries sent in by the Church of England to change their culture. They refused that. But they kept working on these people, and they kept the missionaries over there from 1829 until 1855. The break came in 1855. I'm cutting out some history here, but I'm getting to the meat of what I'm talking about, of the subject of what I'm talking about. So from 1829 to 1855, which is a period of, I believe, 26 years, they tried to get the Ethiopian people to accept this dead white man on the cross they called Jesus the Christ. And they did this by taking one of the natives of Ethiopia, a man by the name of Lyle, L-I-J, Gassa, G-A-S-S-A, and changing his name to Theodore II, and made him the emperor of Ethiopia. That was in 1855. After many years of trying to get, 26 years to be exact, to trying to get the Ethiopians to accept this dead white man on the cross that is known to the world as Jesus the Christ. And at this time in 1855, Thomas Goldbat asked Theodore II, the Ethiopian emperor, who was made the emperor by the British government, very important, by the British government. Thomas Goldbat asked Theodore II, could he bring Christianity into Ethiopia? Like I said before, for 26 years, they rejected the idea of bringing Christianity in Ethiopia. They rejected the idea of accepting this dead white man on the cross called Jesus Christ. So Theodore II said, yes, you can do that as long as you don't bring preachers in here. He didn't want no preachers in there. So anyway, that was the beginning of the downfall of the Ethiopians when they allowed the British to bring this icon, this image and symbol of white supremacy into Ethiopia. The symbol of white supremacy, like I mentioned before, is nothing but the icon and image of this Jesus the Christ that's hanging on the cross. So that's how the missionaries got Christianity in there, and this is how this is what caused the downfall of the Ethiopian people. These proud people that Thomas Macaulay had seen 6 years after the missionaries from the Church of England had entered Ethiopia in 1829. So 6 years later, this is the time of Thomas Goldback. I'm sorry, this is the time of Thomas Macaulay going into Ethiopia, seeing a proud people who were not beggars, who were not thieves, and had great wealth over there in their country and high moral values. So this is how they began to, like he said, we must destroy their old educational system and replace it with them getting to think that what's foreign in English is better than their own. And this is what caused them to be dominated by the Europeans. And, of course, the British Army moved in and secured that country under dominance by way of their presence there and by way of this Christianity being in Ethiopia at that time. They stayed there, you see. So this is what we are talking about tonight, and this is what we want to bring to our listening audience, Brother Tarhaka.
All right, I greatly appreciate you giving us the backdrop on what happened. And I have another book here that I would like to read from, read a little passage out of. This is called the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, a compensatory counter-racist code by a gentleman by the name of Neely Fuller Jr. Neely Fuller Jr. states in his introductory remarks the following: the system of white supremacy, racism, is the most powerful force by and among the people of the known universe that prevents the production of justice, which is balance between people, in all areas of people activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war, which is counter-war. During the existence of white supremacy, racism, the most important thing for a non-white person to study is the system of white supremacy, racism, what it is, and how it works. This study should include every major detail of its establishment and maintenance, expansion, and refinement in every area of activity. That's very, very important information. I'll stop right there. But I've been looking at this thing, and I think one of the most wonderful concepts that things that we have going here is the fact that we are exposing the mechanism by how they are infiltrating the brains of the people. See, when you believe in something instead of knowing something for a fact that you can prove, when you, in my opinion, and this is just my personal opinion, and I guess I feel like because of my own personal activities and training and skills, if you remove from your brain this religious concept that you have talked about earlier today about this so-called Jesus Christ is God thing and all that, remove that from your mind, then you are able, and it will be as nothing to you, to completely destroy your enemies without any second thoughts or remorse or feelings of any kind. And so it is important for us to remove this thing from us. Because as long as we believe in this thing, we got this pie in the sky thing going on in our brains and stuff, and we're steady being disrespected, we're fearful, and all these things. And instead of putting this stuff to the side and replacing it with skill and training, because when you remove that from your mind, and you know better than that, then you're well on your way to being able to see clearly and to call a rabbit and a lion, instead of having it backwards. That's just my personal opinion. That's just how I see it. I mean, this doesn't involve hating anyone. This doesn't involve any type of racism. An enemy is an enemy. And you have to really identify an enemy based on what he's done in the past, what he's currently doing today, and what he will do in the future. We got a lot of people who seem to think that they can't reason with certain enemies. They have to be destroyed, and that's just my personal opinion.
Well, I agree with you on that, Brother Tarhaka. What you said is very true. And another thing I want to add to that is that you don't have to, like you said, you don't have to hate no one. You don't have to take up no arms against anyone. And we talk about your enemy, and all the Africans in America and throughout the world know who our enemy is. If you don't, you should know. And you don't have to hate him. You don't have to pick up no arms against him. All you have to do is change your mind. When you change your mind, you can destroy and will destroy white supremacy and white domination. You will destroy those things. You will destroy it just by you changing your mind. When you stop going to church, worshiping his image on the cross called Jesus the Christ, when you stop doing that, you will destroy white supremacy and white dominate. So, and you don't have to hate him. You don't have to go and confront him with any type of fights or argument or anything. Just stop going to church and change your mind and stop being a Christian. And then once you stop being a Christian, you begin to free yourself. You stop being a Muslim. You begin to free yourself. You stop being a black Hebrew Israelite or a black Jew or Buddhist. You begin to free your own personal humanity. In order for us as the African people to be free, we're going to have to rid ourselves and discard all religions, no matter what name that it may be called or what religion that you're using. It has to be destroyed. And you, the individual human being, you're the only one that can do that. In order for you to be free, in order for you to liberate yourself, Tarhaka, Manuel Bay, Walter Williams, nor your brother Yoel can free you or liberate you. You have to do it yourself. And you can do it very easy. Just change your mind. And once you change your mind, you begin to evolve. It's like when you were told when you was a kid that Santa Claus would bring you some toys at Christmas time. And you believe your parents who told you that story about Santa Claus, which was a lie. And you had to learn that there was no such person as a Santa Claus. But at the time you learned it, what happened? You became free of that. You don't need that no more in your life. And as if now you're an adult and you're not practicing at Christmas time to wait on a big fat white man with reindeers in the sky with a sleigh full of toys and so forth and so on coming down the chimney. You've outgrown that now. You've evolved from that. So it's time for you to evolve from these various religions. Divest yourself from all religions so you can be free. And you will never, ever be free. And we will never, ever be free as a people as long as we go into these churches, mosques, synagogues, and temples and bow down to, in Christianity, a dead white man on the cross called Jesus the Christ. Go into these mosques and pray to an invisible God that you've never seen before, some kind of Prophet Muhammad. You've never seen any Prophet Muhammad, okay? So you can stop being a black Hebrew Israelite because there's never been an Abraham. To be a black Hebrew Israelite, because that's the foundation of black Hebrew Israelitism, is that you in your thinking think that Abraham was a real live human being instead of a character, a created character for religion, for biblical purposes, for Judaism purposes, etc., etc. You can stop being a Buddhist because all religions and the names that I just called are man-created. No human on earth was born with a religion. No human came on this planet that we call Earth with a religion in their nature. You were given everything that you spiritually need at the time of your birth, coming from your mother and your fathers by their creation of you, by having a sexual intercourse. And from that sexual intercourse, your father released his sperm that landed on your mother's egg, thus causing 9 months of development. And during that 9 months of development, you came out at the end of that 9 months attached to your mother's umbilical cord. That umbilical cord was cut to separate you from your mother. The umbilical cord served three things to you and your development to bring you forth in this world as a human being. That umbilical cord served and gave you food, air, and water for your development. And when you came out of your mother's womb, you were a complete human being. You had everything that you spiritually would need to sustain yourself and your humanity as long as you lived. But you never had and was given a religion. Man gave you this religion, created this religion for you to control your thinking and your actions. So these are very simple things that you should know as to how you got here and what created you. And what created you, again, was your father and your mother having a sexual intercourse. So therefore, your father is your personal God. You got 8 billion people walking this earth as human beings of all races, creeds, and color. All 8 billion people have a mother and a father. So all 8 billion people have a personal God. Every human has a personal God. And that personal God that every human has is the man that you call your father, the man that you call daddy, the woman that you call mother, mom. That's your creatress. She, and along with your father, who is your God, created you, the human being. So you must realize these things in order for you to be free and rid yourself of all religion, in order for you to evolve as a human being from one stage to the next stage. In order to do that, you have to have people such as Brother Tarhaka, myself, Yoel, others, to bring information into our African community in order for us to grow as a people. And you will never, ever grow going to a church, because when you go to a church, you don't have to think. When you practice any religion, you don't have to think. Now, you go into a mosque. In order to practice Islam, you're required to pray 5 times a day, which is a waste of human life. And you're required to learn the Quran by heart. In other words, learn every word in the Quran by memory. That's so wasted energy, a lot of wasted human energy to do all these things, to practice a religion. You're going around thinking that you're from the blood of Abraham. You will never, ever be free thinking that. You're going around thinking that there's some kind of Jews on earth because you read it in the Bible. That's where Jews are, in the Bible, in the narrative story, never in human form. Okay? So therefore, we have to realize that. The only way that you realize that is that you have to study something. You have to hear other people, and you have to research, and so you can evolve out of this ignorance that these religions and Western academia has put us in, to this belief of these lies that they put out here in the world for humans to learn and gravitate to, because they have institutions out here to teach this lie from one generation to the next generation. And they give diplomas on these lies to make them real. And they tell bigger lies and on top of bigger lies on top of bigger lies to make it a great big lie for you to believe. So we're going to have to put an end to it, and we can't do it. Tarhaka can't do it. Walter Williams can't do it. Yale can't do it. But you have to do it. You can only be the one to liberate your own self by changing your thoughts, because thoughts are things, and thoughts can develop and keep you in a state of evolvement. In other words, you keep broadening your thoughts, keep gathering new thoughts. And when you gather new thoughts, you enlarge your base, your human base, and that will give you freedom, that will make you free. But as long as you embrace any religion, you will never, ever be free, because these religions has laws, customs, and ceremonies for you to abide by. And when you practice these laws, rituals, customs, then you are repeating and staying stagnant into this religious ideology. And you are letting these religious ideology control your thinking, control your life. Like I said before, when you go into a church, you do not have to think. When you go into a mosque, you do not have to think. When you practice any religion will cut off your reasoning and your thinking ability, your analytical mind. You don't have to use your analytical mind, because everything is all packaged for you. When you go into a church and they have a package waiting for you, that in that package is this dead white man on the cross called Jesus Christ. In your package, you have a Bible, which is worthless, has no history attached to it. It's fiction, mythology, and allegories. And in this package that they give you in these Christian churches is God is in that package. So you have three things: this dead white man on the cross, the Bible, and God in your package. So therefore, all you have to do is do what? Believe. That's all. You believe. They ask you, do you believe in the Lord Jesus Christ? Are you a Christian? You say yes. They ask you, do you believe in the Bible? Yes, the Bible is a book that one has to believe in. Do you believe in God? They say yes. You believe in God because you're afraid not to believe in God, because you think you will be diminished and sent to hell if you don't believe in God. But you have to know who God is. God, like I mentioned before, is your father who impregnates your mother with his sperm. Every human have their own personal God. This God that you got floating around in your head never existed. And then I asked a question about God. What has God done for the Africans in America, for the Africans in the continent of Africa? or throughout the world. What has God done for us? Nothing. Not one damn thing. Okay? He allowed this white male to put us into slavery, lynch us, and bring forth Jim Crow laws against us, and every humiliating force that the white race can think of to muster up against us and bring it against us. So what has God done to prevent that? Nothing. See? So don't tell me about individually what God has done for you individually. No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about 50 to 60 million of Africans living in the United States of America. What has God done for us? Nothing. What has God done for the Africans living in the continent of Africa? Nothing. What has God done for all of humanity, including the other races? Nothing. Okay? So you have to realize what you're dealing with in these various religions. In order for you to realize what you're dealing with in these various religions, you have to study the religion. You have to start believing in these religions, because as long as you believe in these religions, you will never, ever be free. So that's what I'm trying to bring to you. That's what Brother Tarhaka is trying to bring to you, and I turn it back over to my dear brother Tarhaka.
Okay, Dr. Williams, I certainly appreciate you laying that out for us again. I'm going to open up Brother Yoel's line so we can get his take on this thing. Brother Yoel, are you with us?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Okay, you want to give us some of your feedback on this stuff, man?
Well, yes, but first, I'm at a loss because this guy's not one. I'm not a student of this guy, so I'm kind of just like weighing in here, and I'm going to be, for the moment, the angel's advocate, because it seems that this guy, there's some misconception put out there that this guy may have been talking about Ethiopia, and also may have been, and then some say he was talking about India. I don't know which one it is because I'm not an authority on him, but the concept he's talking about, of course, is one that we can definitely identify with.
Let me stop you right here, Brother Yoel. Let me stop you right here. The article says that he went to where? Africa. He didn't go to India. He said he went to Africa and saw our people. Africa.
I get it. I get it.
Let's stick with that. Stick with where he went to Africa. That's what the article said. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That article, but I'm saying
no.
I don't
correct?
know. That's the article that he read.
But then let's stick to that. Don't go into India. He didn't say that. He said he went to Africa, and he saw a proud people, a people who were not beggars or thieves. Okay.
I'm saying that there's out on the internet another letter, same letter, but has India in it. Now I don't know which one is what, but who putting it out here? Who's trying to misinform the people about it or whatever? But there seems to be two letters out there.
Well, who went to India? What was the person's name?
Here. You want me to read it? Same one Tarhaka read. It says, I have traveled across the length and breadth of India, and I have not seen one person who is a beggar or who is a thief. Such wealth I have seen in this country, such high moral values, people of such caliber, that I do not think we have ever conquered this country unless we break the very backbone of this nation, which is her spiritual and cultural heritage, and therefore I propose that we replace her old and ancient education system, her culture, for if the Indians think that all that is foreign and English is good and greater than their own, they will lose their self-esteem, their native self-culture, and they will become what we want them, a truly dominated nation.
Okay, stop right there.
That's the end of it.
So, okay. Thomas Macaulay stood before the British Parliament. He was a member of the British Parliament himself. What they're referring to is Africa. Someone probably changed it from Africa to India. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
He went into,
which they are capable of.
Which they are capable of. Now, we know that Africa had been dominated by the Greeks under the Ptolemies. We know that Africa had been dominated by the Romans under the Byzantine emperors for hundreds and thousands of years. We know that the Africa had been dominated by the Ottoman Turkish Empire beginning in 1300. So it wasn't India, it was Africa. See, but in order to know that, one has to know history. You have to be a student of history.
Mm-hmm.
India was not under the dominance of the Greek Ptolemies, the Roman emperors, or the Ottoman emperors and consultants. Okay? There was not ever under those three domination of Europeans. So it was Africa. Someone out there changed that to India. You see? Someone had a vicious idea to change it from Africa to bring in confusion. But it was Africa. And the country in Africa that I traced by doing research was Ethiopia. That was the only country in Africa that had been colonized by Europeans. You see, even when the Greek Ptolemy was there for 302 years over in that region of Africa. They never went into Ethiopia because Ethiopia was too far down south. Okay? When the Romans came in and took over from the Greek Ptolemies in 30 B.C., they never went into Ethiopia. And when the Ottoman Turks took over from the Roman emperors in 1300 under the Ottoman Turkish Empire, they never went down in there. The first time, or the first European to ever go into Ethiopia was James Bruce, a Scotchman out of Scotland, in the 1780s, when he went into Ethiopia looking for the source of the Nile River, the water that fed into the Nile River to feed the big artery by way of water coming out of the Abyssinian Mountains into Lake Tana. And from Lake Tana, it went into the Sudan, and which is called the White Nile. And the water coming out of Ethiopia is called the Blue Nile. You see, so he went in there in the 1780s looking for the source of the Nile, which he wrote 5-book volume on that, in search of the water to feed the great Nile. That's what he wrote, those 5-volume books. So he was the first known European in history that you can trace back by using the discipline of history that went into Ethiopia, 1780s, to search for the source of the Nile River. The next European that went in there was a man by the name of George Annesley, Annesley. And he went in there in 1800. He went down the Red Sea and entered Ethiopia from that point. He was looking for resources that he could find in Ethiopia to exploit. That was the second European. The third European was a man by the name of Henry Salt. In 1814, the British government sent him in there to peep around in Ethiopia for any natural resources and bring back a report to them on what he had saw over there by way of resources and the culture of the people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You see? And then in 1829, the Church of England sends Thomas Goldbat and a bunch of missionaries in there. Now, the Church of England had, in 1799, had created this CMS, Church Missionary Society, which was a missionary society for Christian missionaries to go into Africa, to bring Christianity into Africa. So in 1829, the Church of England sent a group of missionaries under the leadership of Samuel Goldbat in 1829, like I mentioned earlier, you see, into Ethiopia. 6 years later, 1835, that's when Thomas Macaulay, who was a member of the British Parliament, stood before the British Parliament and said, I have went to Africa and I saw a proud people who were not beggars, thieves, and that their country was full of wealth. And in order for us to conquer these people, we had to break their culture and their spirituality, replace their culture and spirituality with anything that's foreign, especially English, to get them to believe that what's foreign and what's English is better than what they have in their own culture. And as I explained before, this is what they did. After 26 years in there, from the time of Thomas Goldbat, 1829, and those English missionaries going and sending by the Church of England, 1855, the English government appointed a native Ethiopian by the name of Lija, L-I-J, Gassa, G-A-S-S-A, and made him Theodore II, changed his name to Theodore II, and made him the first emperor of Ethiopia. And Thomas Goldbat, after 26 years of being rejected by the Ethiopian people, Thomas Goldbat asked Theodore II, can I bring Christianity into Ethiopia? And he says, yes, as long as you don't bring no preachers. That's the beginning of the destruction of Ethiopians. Today, as I speak, Ethiopian people are infested in their culture with Christianity and a little Islam. But they are infested with that disease of Christianity over there as I speak today. So, again, this is how they did it. And today, it is still dominant over there. So I just want to explain that to you because someone has put out information, changed it from Africa to India. Very simple, same words, but they changed the countries from Africa to India. And like I said before, the Indians had been colonized by the Europeans way before Ethiopia had ever been colonized. Before the Europeans. So that's the reason why I made my statement of correction to you. I'm not trying to, say that you're wrong or anything like that, but I just want you to understand that. Not only you, I want the listening audience to understand why I stopped you and said that it was inserted by someone who did not want to keep the word African in there. And that's the reason why. Brother Yoel and Brother Tarhaka.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay, well, I am.
Well,
go ahead, Brother Yoel.
Well, in terms of the efforts of what they were attempting to do I mean, everybody should know that. Should know that already if they're conscious and awake in America. You know, with respect to what they did, because I can't help but remember Patrick Buchanan, who ran for president a couple of times, and he was a MSNBC affiliate. He wrote a book some years ago by I think back in 2002 called "The Death of the West," and he constantly amazed me at how the people that he be talking to in MSNBC, especially when they be black folks, how they don't see that this white boy is racist like that, but they still have conversation with him. And I guess he's kind of mild and kind of trying to cover himself. But in that book, The Death of the West, he talked about dying populations and immigrants coming into a country, and it was his crowd to plead to the rest of white America that they were being invaded and taken over, and the cultural counterculture, as he called it, of the 60s has changed who America is. And of course, you know, he was talking about who was active in the 60s, and that's y'all folks, black folks was. So he said that they would change the culture. But in his book, he got a chapter called "The War Against the Past," and he quotes a Russian guy named Alexander Solzhenitsyn or something like that. But anyway, he quotes him. He said, and he said, to destroy a people, you must first sever their roots. And then Patrick Buchanan goes into the chapter, and he said, how does one sever a people's roots? Answer: distort the memory, deny people of knowledge of who they are and where they came from. Okay. And then he goes on to say, to destroy the records of a people's past, leave it in ignorance of who its ancestors were and what they did, and one can fill the empty vessels of their souls with a new history, as in 1984, dishonor and disgrace a nation's heroes, and you can demoralize the people. So, yeah, they got the same formula working everywhere they go with respect to how they sever people's roots, and that's exactly what they did to us over here, and that's how they go throughout the world using that same formula, and the one that they attempt to use also in Ethiopia we're talking about here. So their white supremacy is, I mean, it's interesting, but what I found interesting about this character is all of the people who were associated with them during that time, and the people that they mentioned that are offshoots of his speech and stuff like that, and the players involved.
Well, yeah, what you're saying is absolutely true, Brother Yoel, because that formula, like you said, was passed on from generation to generation of Europeans, and they use that formula, especially against us Africans in America. They teach that formula and practice that formula in the school system. It's in the curriculum of the school system with the sole intent of teaching African people in this country away from their culture. Not telling you that we Africans are descendants of the ancient Egyptians. They won't do that. They teach us away from that. As long as you're black, Negro, and African Americans, they're fine with you, because when you say that you're black, Negro, and African American, that teaches you that you are and your ancestors were enslaved in America during the time of slavery. So, yes, they miseducate us. So don't ever think, African people living in America, that when you go to school, no matter how high in the school system that you go, which is controlled by the European and the curriculum that they have created to be practiced and used in that educational system, don't ever think that you have a quality education. You do have a quality miseducation. So if you go back to what miseducation of the Negro, by Carter G. Woodson. He tells you that we, as African people in this country, has been miseducated. Now, getting back to Pat Buchanan said, Rachel Maddow show on MSNBC television, right after the Obama had got to be the president of this country. And he took office in the year 2009. On Rachel Maddow show on MSNBC, Pat Buchanan was a commentator there. And he said on that television show, prior to this show, he had been coming on CNN and many other MSNBC radio hosts and hostesses this show prior to coming on Rachel Maddow's show that evening that I'm talking about, the evening that he came on. And he said these words. He says, only white men should be the president of this United States of America. And Rachel Maddow turned red, and she began to pounce on him for making that statement. And the next day, she came on the broadcast, and she had written a statement against what Pat Buchanan had said about only white men should be president of the United States of America. And at that point, and from that point on, I've never seen Pat Buchanan on MSNBC, radio, television, or any other radio station or television station at point. I'm getting an echo. So anyway, you're absolutely right about Pat Buchanan, and you're absolutely right about the formula that is passed on from one generation to the next generation of the European race, within their race, and this is the way they keep up their practice of white supremacy and white dominance over us as a people and the whole entire world. You're absolutely right. Brother Tarhaka?
Okay, brother, y'all hold on a moment. We got a caller with his hand raised at area code 818. 818. 818. You are on the air. How you doing, brother?
How are you? How you doing, Dr. Williams? It's Brother Jay.
Hey, Brother Jay. How you doing, young man?
I'm doing great. Sir.
I just want to let you know, since you're here with us, I want to let the listening audience know that you're the one. I had made an announcement earlier that you, Brother Jay, out of Pasadena, California, the individual that sent me that email with Thomas Macaulay, who was a member of the British Parliament at that time.
Yes, sir. I sure did.
Right. So I just want to let the listening audience know that you were the one that sent me that email and gave me the information as to what had happened in 1835 with Thomas Macaulay and the British government. And
absolutely.
And we took it from there. Okay?
Yeah,
so go ahead, Brother Jay.
I just want to say something real quick, and I'm enjoying the show, and I want to listen to the rest of the show. But the thing I want to say to Brother Yoel is it is a lot of misinformation out there, because the one thing you have to remember about the British coming into India, they had already been in India for almost over 100 years. So it would be no reason for Thomas Macaulay to talk about their character after they already invaded India for over 100 years. The British has been into India as early as 1733, and because the Indians or the Indians in that part of the world didn't want British to take over everything, they created something called the Infinite Trade War, where the British can come in for hundreds of years and trade freely in their country. So there would be no reason for Thomas Macaulay to ever talk about India's character, especially after over 100 years that they had already been there. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you so much, Brother Jay. I appreciate that. That also backs up what I had stated previously to Brother Yoel about someone had put in that article India, and they took out Africa and put in India to do that. And like I had explained earlier, the reasons why that this was Ethiopia is because Ethiopia has a legacy of never being colonized by Europeans. You see?
Absolutely.
So I had to break that down by way of showing and the listening audience that even the Ptolemies never went into Ethiopia. They controlled that area for 302 years. The Roman emperors never went into Ethiopia, and they controlled that area for over 1,500 years. And then the Ottoman Turks, beginning in 1300s, they never went into that area of Ethiopia, you see. So what you're saying is absolutely true, and thanks for giving us that information, because that helps the whole situation and, let's say, the argument, or it helps our program, and it helps our people in the African community to really understand what we're talking about. And we're talking about what happened to the people of Ethiopia during that time.
Absolutely.
Thank you again.
Well, I just wanted to give my 2 cents, Brother Tarhaka, and I want to tell you that I really appreciate you having the wonderful Dr. Williams on, and even I appreciate Brother Yoel too, because he always drops some knowledge on here as well. So I'm just going to hang up and listen to the rest of the show. I love all you guys. Dr. Williams, you know how I feel about you. And Mayat Hotep, my brothers.
Mayat Hotep, my brother. You know how I feel about you and your family. Mayat Hotep.
Brother Jay. Brother Jay. Hello.
Brother Jay, hit one. Uriel wants to say something to you.
Okay. Actually, the research that I found, they said that initially that they allowed them to practice a Hindu and Islamic religions and whatnot, and they were talking about that wasn't the article was talking about that wasn't making them into what they wanted them to be. So in order to break the backbone of them, this is why supposedly this guy made the statement that he made. That's what I read. I sent it to you, Tarhaka. You should get that in a minute. But that's what the article was saying based on what I got from it.
Well, see, the article
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong, brother. I was just saying the only thing I was saying was about I'm saying that the article that I got was based out of Africa and his trips into that terrain. So all I was saying was the British have been in India for well over 200 years, 150 years. You know what I'm saying? So for them to make a statement like that, where they couldn't be broken, but they gave up most of their country because of like the infinite trade wars. If you look it up, I think that year, you don't quote me on this per se, but I think it was between 1755 and 1760 was the infinite trade war. That's something to look up, because the British had already been in India for years and years. They already broke the Indians. So that would be weird for him to say that about the Indians during that time. That's just what I'm saying. And, you know,
weird. Okay.
And if you notice something, Brother Yoel, you got the same information in that article about India. Word for word is in the same article that is said about Africa. Only thing they took out Africa and put in India. That's all. And they kept the rest of the words. Is that correct?
Right. Yes.
Okay. That ends the argument. So we can move on.
Okay, well, fellas, go ahead. Go ahead, Brother Yoel.
I was going to say they call themselves having in this article, though, his written words and the retyped words about the article. Okay. But I sent it to you, Tarhaka. You should be able to see that in a minute. I didn't. I will forward it to you, Doc, so you can take a look at it too.
But like I said before, I'll be waiting for it. But like I said before, Brother Yoel, what you read with the word is the same word for word, the article with Africa in there. Same thing. The only difference in the articles, one article has Africa and one article has India. But the rest of the words are the same. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, well, stop it right there. Stop it right there. I made my point. So let's move on and deal with this conversation and move it along where we can advance the listening audience knowledge into white supremacy and white dominance. Brother Tarhaka?
Yeah. Now
You
that's
there?
basically the same MO. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That's basically the same MO that they've used all the way across the country. There's a book written by a man called Malidoma Patrice Somé. The title of the book is Of Water and the Spirit. And in that book, he tells the story of his father and his grandfather. He would learn a great deal from his grandfather. However, his father was persuaded by the Catholics to join the Christian religion, but everybody else was against it, especially his grandfather, the man's father. And but it kept going back and forth, and is an excellent book to read because in that book they tell the story about exactly how they did that. They came into Africa bringing this religion and causing people to believe in this particular religion. In other words, believing in something outside of yourself, opposed to believing in your true God, your mother and father, the ones that brought you in the earth and made sure that you had everything you need. It's just a concept of belief. And I'm to the persuasion that if you're going to believe in something, why don't you start with you? It seems to me that's that's the first place to start. And then if you're going to believe in something else, after you believe in you, then that's it. But that, to me, that's the starting point. That's the same thing that happened when they came to this country with the natives, and they tried to get the natives to go along with it, and the natives was like, well, it's a wonderful story, and it's a shame how they did that guy and nailed him on the stick and all of that there, but however, we're gonna have to keep on following the teachings of our own ancestors. Y'all get that on back where you got from. So after they realized that they could not infuse this into the minds of these people, of course, there's nothing left but war. And you see. So, but here we are. We bought it hook, line, and single. We got more churches than anybody else in America. One on every block. I got one across the street from the house and one less than a block down the street. And my mom, she came here today. Well, the church right down the street now. They brought over from the temple and they come and I said, okay. Well, I know you don't want nothing to do with it. I said, well, you going on. I ain't got nothing. I don't want no argument, no debate or whatever. But and it's really, really a sad thing for this thing to impregnate the minds of our people like a cancer. It's like a disease of the brain. You can't even, it's really sad when you can't even hold a conversation with a person without them bringing that up. I had a couple of deacons. I told them, I said, well, look, I need to talk to you guys. I have a question for you about business. This is strictly about business, and I have a question for you. Well, if it ain't about Jesus, I'm going to tell you right now, it ain't going to work. I said, okay, that's good for me. Y'all have a nice day. And then, narrow-minded. That's a narrow-minded individual. Well, you can't hold no conversations about economics. You can't hold a conversation about education. You can't hold a conversation about investing in real estate. Nothing without Jesus or God coming in it. And this is stuff that people believe. This is something they believe. Somebody that you ain't never seen. You ain't never been in their house. You don't even know what side of town they live on. But you believe it. Now, if you're going to believe in something, at least you should be able to elaborate on something that you believe and give us some facts. But they don't have any facts. They just believe. And if you don't believe in it, then you go in hell. If you don't believe what we believe, then you go in. You gonna have a sad state of affairs. It's amazing. You know, they say, well, you know, God woke me up this morning. If it wasn't for God waking you up this morning, you weren't real. I said, well, wait a minute. It's 400 billion people on the planet, and God was in all these places at the same time, waking everybody up. It's amazing, man. You got 10 things that He wants you to do, and if you 10 things now, these 10 commandments that you can't break them 10 commandments. If you go into hell and you gonna burn forever and ever. However, He loves you, and He needs money. I mean, He's all wise, all powerful, all knowing, all opposite, everywhere and everywhere at the same time, but can't quite handle money. We gotta have some extra money every Sunday. Every Sunday we need a little bit more money. It's amazing. And the people just don't catch on. And the only person be riding around in the Cadillac and the Lexus and all these expensive cars is the pastor. Everybody else putting all these Chevrolets. But we, you know, I don't know, man. It's really, really, really interesting to me to sit. I sit and watch it. And he look at me like, you know, he look at me like I'm the devil, cause I already let him know I ain't buying into the Reb TC chicken wing program, and so he don't fool me. He watch me. He makes sure I don't get nowhere near the flock.
Let me add something a little bit to that Tarhaka. Then he not only riding around like that, but he got some of the congregation believing that he should be riding around like that.
That's
or
right.
asking for a jet or something
That's
like
correct.
that. Some of them who are actually doing that. And then I hear they even giving them, asking for their W-2s before they even join the church. See what kind of money they make.
Oh, man, it's terrible in there. That's right.
So,
there's some churches, now there's one here. You can join this church. You got to fill out an application. We need to know where you bank at. We need to know what job you're on,
right.
how long you've been there, how much money you make a week, how much you make an hour. All this information you got to get them. Now, if you have a family member that passed away, you can't have their funeral at that church. You got to go somewhere else. All white run church, and we sitting up in there. But when our family member died, well, we can't. You know, you can't have that over here. You got to go back somewhere else with that. We don't hold that sort of thing down here. No, we don't allow no black folks having no funerals down here. You give some money, you know, fill out the application, give us 10%, and we'll check it in, and then we'll keep up with you just in case you slacking on that money. You know, you don't put your 10% in. We got to send you a letter, and send somebody to the house, find out where the money at. You know, it's amazing, man. And I had another man. This man here, he helped build a church with his money. He's a truck driver. He helped finance the building of this big old church. And all his life, he got down sick. Yeah, one man to come from the church and visit him. After that, we see nobody else no more. The pastor never did show up. And he got sick, and he got sicker and sicker and sicker, and then finally he died. But they let him have the funeral in the church. But nobody from the church came over there, after this. He got sick. He wasn't sending no money over to the church, nothing like that. Well, we ain't got time to mess with him. He's not paying his portion of the dues. He's sick, but he still can settle or something, It's amazing, man. I look at these people, man. I be looking at our people, man. I be wondering, how long you gonna have brain damage? I mean, well, why don't you use common sense sometimes? I was at a teller machine one night, and it was two old women trying to get money out of the teller machine, and they fumbling. I waited in line till they got through, and finally they couldn't get nothing out. They turned around and walked away. And so I went up to the machine. Something told me to open the drawer and look down at it. Boy, they had a big old wad of money they had left behind. And I called them and said, hey, y'all come here a minute. They come back over there, and I got the money out of there, too. Oh, my goodness, because the money was coming out. They didn't know where to get it from. And oh, Lord, Jesus, thank you, Jesus. I said, no, Jesus didn't do this. I said, I'm the one that called you and gave you money. Oh, yeah, you sure did, but the Lord sure looking at us. No. Keep it about it. He ain't nowhere around here. I'm the one that got this money and gave it you. Stop it. Stop trying to give somebody credit you don't know, you ain't never seen in your life, all your life, 30, 40, 50 years old, steady talking about a God you ain't never seen, and all the images you don't see of God is white, and don't look nothing like you. Man, don't get me crunk up about this here, man. I'll be, whoo. Man, they put up a piece of preaching and going on preaching, and after the preaching over with, they go to especially after the funeral, they go to the gathering, to the what they call it, the repast, and it's time to eat. And the pastor, he got him a big old pig feet. He got pork chop, everything that'll kill you on his plate. He been out there not telling he said, well, the Lord done blessed Oh, yeah. Whoa, boy, I tell you what, our people something else, man. They're something else. They had me in that part. They almost had me, though. They almost had me. They had me in the church. And I was in there that morning, and, they had this guy coming there. He's a politician. Now, I remember him when I was growing up. He was a crook. He had him and his boys, the police, they go in the backyard and behind our house where they shoot dice at rob the crap game and go down the street where he parked at and split the money out with him. But now he's running for city council. He come over to the church. The preacher gave him $5,000 that morning. Now, I said, okay, I'm not going to say anything about it. I know he's still a crook. He's always been a crook. I know him since I was a child. So that evening, same church, I stayed over because most members in the morning, they leave, and then the evening shift come in. So I'm still sitting there from the morning. Preacher got up there and started preaching on tithing. And see, this is when I woke up. He said, well, y'all ain't tithing your money in it, and I have y'all know that this church is in a $5,000 deficit. I said, wait a minute, Chump. I said, you just gave this sucker $5,000 this morning. And some of it was my money. I think I put $3 in there. I want my $3 back. You had a $5,000 deficit. They gave a man $5,000 that ain't never been in your church before in his life. White guy.
Well, that's why he said it was a deficit. He wanted that back.
Huh?
That's why he said it was a deficit because he gave that money out and he wants that money back.
Yeah, but he lost me because I was there this morning when he gave the man $5,000 and he preaching. So he thought he was preaching to a whole new congregation trying to get them to put in some extra money, but I was still left over from that morning. And he wants me to get there another dime for me, but that's when I woke up, and my best friend that got me in the chair, he said, "Well, no, you can't think of it like that. You had to, you had to believe in the Lord." I said, "Wait a minute." I said, "Now, as long as you've been knowing me, I've been using common sense. I believe in the Lord, but that joker that he gave him $5,000 to, he's a criminal." "Well, no, don't say that. Don't say. What do you mean? Don't say that?" I said, "He's a lot of crap game back." He said, "Yeah, but we'll kind of keep that down, Just concentrate on the Lord." I said, "I'm concentrating on that cook that got my $3."
Tarhaka, you tell me, boy.
Well, I mean,
let me say this, brother Tarhaka. Let me say this.
Yeah.
What you're saying is absolutely true. But, getting back to our people in the African community, they don't know any better. They had no chance of knowing any better. The reason being that they don't know any better is because when they came out of their mother's womb, attached to our umbilical cord, the umbilical cord was cut to separate the mother from the baby. At that point, life continued into that human being. Now, what happened to that human being at that point? The mother and father was waiting for that baby to grow to reach a certain age. When that child reached a certain age, they passed a disease and virus to that child called religion. And that religion, one of the main devastating religion that you can pass on to a human being, especially African human being, is a religion called Christianity. So that child grows up believing in the theology of Christianity, believing in what his parents had passed on to them, or him or her, by way of this religion called Christianity. So you got to realize that instead of passing this disease and virus of a religion to them, they should have taught that child about its own humanity and not give that child a disease and virus called religion, especially Christianity or any religion to give into a human being is a religion that destroys the humanity of that human being, because it teaches that human being out of knowing who he or she is as a human being and what they were born with as a human being. So they have a false illusion based in a lie called a religion. So the child grows up believing in these religions. And then, to make a long story short, when that child becomes an adult, they repeat the same thing to their children that their parents had gave to them. This lie and this disease and virus of religion, especially Christianity. Because their grandparents passed that lie to their parents, and their great-grandparents passed that lie to their grandparents, and it goes back, and so forth and so on, until one day this child hears our program that we're creating now at this moment to tell them the difference, what religions are doing to them. And at this point, they will begin to wake up, because Anybody who practices a religion, they wake up wide awake, but yet still they're asleep at the same time. Until one begins to use their analytical mind and realize that there's never been a man that ever walked the earth in human form of any race, creed, or color by the name of Jesus Christ. There's never been a man that ever walked the earth in human form by the name of Prophet Muhammad. There's never been a man that ever walked the earth by the name of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Sarah, Gideon, Esau, David, or Solomon, or Joshua. Any character named in the Bible never walked the earth as human beings. You see, when they realize that, they will begin to grow. But I want to tell you something. Our ancestors in the Coptic Egyptian community, they're the ones, those Melkites. We have a program. You and I came out with a program with this information in it about maybe 2 or 3 years ago, called Christianity 1, Christianity 2, and 3. How our Melkite Coptic Egyptian ancestors created this image that we know today as Jesus the Christ. How they took Serapis, how that was done. How they created and the name Old Serapis and gave it to the Ptolemy, successor of Alexander the Greek. And this from the name of Serapis. The Greek Ptolemies who had dominated African continent, Central Africa and Northeast Africa for 302 years. They tried to get our ancestors to accept this white image called Serapis, known today as Jesus the Christ. Okay? And that went on for 1,430 years. Of course, that image that we know today as Jesus Christ was created by Melkite Coptic Egyptians in 320. So, in my book, I put in there that our ancestors in the African community, rejected the Serapis for 921 years, starting with the time of Arius in 319 until the time of Ibn al-Arabi, alias Muhammad, in 1240. It's a period of 921 years. But if you count back and go back to the time of the making of Serapis, the name Serapis was given to and created by the temple in Memphis, Egypt, by using those ancient Egyptians, used the two deities of the ancient Egyptian, Osiris and the bull Apis of Memphis, and they came out with a composite name and gave it to this Ptolemy successor of Alexander. Why? Because he wanted to be admitted in our sacred temple society in Egypt, and he was rejected. So his image was made, and the name of Serapis was given to this Ptolemy, thereby the beginning of the destruction of the culture of our ancient ancestors' culture in Egypt. So that Serapis, if you followed it from 320 BC dates you count down. The dates that we live in you count up. But from 320 BC until the time of Ibn al-Arabi in 1240 CE is a time of 1,430 years. The secular community in Egypt used to worship this Christ because this non-human created creature was created in 431 at Ephesus, in Ephesus, Turkey. The non-human, this created creature called the Virgin Mary, was created at the same time in Ephesus, 431. Okay? So from Serapis came the amalgamation of the created creatures, the Virgin Mary, with the created creatures, Serapis, between those two being amalgamated together, thus came out, and the creation of Christ was born right there in Ephesus. So our ancestors in the secular community had been the Greeks, Ptolemies, the Roman emperors, had tried for 1,430 years, from 320 BC until 1240 CE, to get the image, that white image that we know today as Jesus Christ, to be accepted in our community. So I'm saying all of that to say this. Our people in today's society had no chance of knowing the truth until Tarhaka Bay came along and created a vehicle called Blog Talk Radio that we're on at this moment. They had no chance of knowing the truth until Walter Williams came along and wrote 2 books, doing the research, finding out that there was no man ever walking this earth by the name of a Jesus Christ, of any race, creed, or color. So until that time of the 2 events, you creating the Blog Talk Radio, me writing and creating this book called The Historical Origin of Christianity and The Historical Origin of Islam, which I've written those 2 books, they had no chance of knowing that there was no Jesus Christ. No chance of knowing that there was never a Prophet Muhammad. No chance of ever knowing that there's never an Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Sarah, Gideon, Esau, David, Solomon, or Joshua, or any biblical character named in the Bible never walked the earth as human beings. They had no chance of that. But, however, if they hear our voice and voices, and we're telling them the truth, and if they don't change, then it's their fault. But all the ones that has never heard our voice, never read my books, never heard us talk on your radio show, Brother Tarhaka, bringing Brother Uriel on here to give other further commentary. If they haven't, if they heard us speak about no Jesus Christ, about God, etc., then it's their fault if they don't change and use their analytical mind to make that change, to create an involvement in their thinking. You have to evolve out of this ignorance of these religions. These religions has put us in. We have to evolve out of it and grow. If we don't do that, then we're going to perish, because the world is passing us by as a people while you're sitting in these damn churches waiting on a non-human created creature called Jesus Christ, a non-human called the created creature called the Virgin Mary, and all the other these non-human characters that's abounding in the Bible. So you're going to have to put the Bible and put it down, take it to the nearest garbage can and discard it. You're going to take God to the nearest garbage can and put God in the Bible, because we have given you the reason why this God that you're talking about is, they want you to believe that this God, this invisible God, and this dead white man on the cross is one and the same, because they teach you in Christian theology that I and my Father are one. This Jesus Christ, this white image on the cross, and this God, this invisible God, which is called the Father, his Father, are one. So you believe that lie. As long as you believe that lie, you're going to be in prison. You're going to be in bondage. You're not going to be free as a human being. So in order to free yourself and liberate yourself as a human being, you're going to have to change your thoughts about these various religions. You have to know the truth about these various religions. You have to realize that you have been told a lie all of your life until you heard this program that Tarhaka Mama Bay has provided for us, a platform for me and Brother Yoel and others to be on, to bring the truth to our African community. So with that, Brother Tarhaka, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, Dr. Williams, I thank you so much for that information. Once again, I thank you. What I would like to ask you is, after they introduce this religion to Ethiopia, what began to transpire? How did the people react to this brother that had been made emperor? How did they react to that? What was the breakdown on that after he introduced that in there? Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, they rejected it. I mean, the masses of people in Ethiopia, they fought against it. But the Europeans was over there, and they was dominating that area over there with the British Army enforcing that dominance. And they controlled that area, and they kept working on those people from generation to generation. From 1855, that generation that was there in Ethiopia, they rejected Christianity. They fought against it. And then 5 years later, the same Church of England brought about the and forced Judaism over there. Okay? And they brought in 1860, the enforcement of this Judaism over there. In 1860, they sent a man by the name of Henry Aaron Stern, because, again, back to the Church of England. And like I said, in 1799, they created the CMS, Church Missionary Society. In 1809, they created the CMJ, okay? The Missionary Society, Church Missionary Society of Judaica, you see? Messianic Judaism is what they brought into Ethiopia in 1860 by sending a man over there by the name of Henry Aaron Stern in 1860, and they took the Gaylor tribe and turned them into Falashas, the Falashas. The Gaylor tribe fought them tooth and nail to the point where they beat up Henry Aaron Stern and his associate, Martin Platt, P-L-A-D, who was assisting him in that area to introduce him to the culture and the layout of Ethiopia and the culture of the Ethiopian people. Because he had came over there under the tutelage of Dr. L.C. Kraft in 1858, 3 years after Theodore II was made the emperor of Ethiopia by the British government. See, so the Gaylor tribe did not want any disruption of their culture by some European coming over there trying to replace their culture with something that they want to enforce in place and put in place of their culture. They didn't want that. So they fought physically with Henry Aaron Stern and Martin Platt for doing that, to the point where Theodore II put both of those men in jail for doing just that, for interrupting the Gaylor tribe and their culture. And they put, Theodore II put both of those men in jail, and the British government came over with an army in Ethiopia and rescued those two men and freed them out of jail. And then they said that Theodore II committed suicide in 1868. No, the British government murdered him in 1868 for doing just that. And then they appointed Johannes IV to be the successor of Theodore II in 1872, after the death of Theodore II in 1868. So this is some of the short history of what happened to our ancestors over and our African people over there in Ethiopia. You know, you and I had a show, how Christianity came to Ethiopia. I think it was about a couple of years back. We had that show. It's on one of your shows there. The people out in the listening audience can go back and go through the files of your shows, and they can find that show where I brought in how Ethiopia, how Christianity came to Ethiopia. So that's what I wanted to say, that our ancestors in the secular community resisted this Christianity and this image of Jesus the Christ of 1,430 years until the time of slavery. 400 years ago, when slavery came about, 399 years, it will be 400 years next year, 2019. It will be 400 years when Christianity was forced on us, enslaved over in this country, by way of the plantation preacher who came around with his Bible, teaching the plantation slaves to accept this Jesus the Christ as their Savior. So from that point on until the day, 399 years or 400 years later, that teaching is still in our African community in America. And this is what you and I and Yoel and others are talking about at this moment, that we're going to have to cut out and stop it. Because when you go to these churches, it's like going to the slave plantation all over again. Because the head of all slave plantations is this white man, this old white man they call Old Massa. He is the head of all slave plantations throughout the slave states in America. In every Christian church, the head of all and every Christian church in the world, in America, is Jesus the Christ, is the head of all Christian churches. So him and the slave master, slave owner, is one and the same. Every slave plantation had a overseer, and the overseer was old boss Charlie, old ignorant white man, overseeing the slaves, keeping them in line. So who took boss Charlie's place in this Christian church is Reverend C.T. Chicken Wing. He is the new overseer. Who are the slaves sitting in the pews of this church? The slaves are the parishioners out there believing in this lie that a dead white man on the cross is their God and Savior. So when you go to church and churches, you are bowing down to your enemy that put us as an African people in this country into slavery, that lynched us in America. You bow down to the same white people and their image on that cross, who initiated Jim Crow laws against us, who dehumanized us, who made us inferior people. We're not inferior. We never will be. We are superior because we are descendants of the greatest people that has ever walked this earth, known in history as the ancient Egyptians. And when we find our way back to ancient Egypt and claim our ancient Egyptians as our ancestors, white supremacy will fall flat on its face, and white supremacy will be over with. But as long as you go into these churches, you are participating and upholding white supremacy and white dominance. That's all you're doing. So what we're saying to you, Christians out there, if you want to be free, you're going to have to start evolving and stay out of these damn churches. Muslims, if you want to be free, you're going to denounce and put down Islam alaikum, alaikum salam, and throw the Quran in the nearest garbage can that you can find and walk away from that junk because it's a lie. Black Hebrew Israelitism, people out there, Black Hebrew Israelite folk who think that in Abraham, that they came from the blood of Abraham, you got to give all that foolishness up out there. There's never been an Abraham, an Isaac, or Jacob, or Moses, or Sarah, Gideon, Esau, David, or Solomon, or Joshua, or any biblical characters walking this earth as human beings. Get it out of your system. Buddhism, it's never been a big fat dude with a diaper and titties, talking about he's some kind of Buddha with big jaws and stuff. Never been. It's mythology. Wake up. Find your way back to your own self. Find your way back to your greatness, which is lying in the continent of Africa, unclaimed over in the continent of Africa, in Egypt, unclaimed over there, because it's descendants of those great people who brought civilization to all of humanity, those great people who built the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx and every aspect and every rudiment of civilization to the world of humanity. Those great people are known in history as the ancient Egyptians. Where are their descendants today? Where are they and who are they? Did they disappear? Did they vanish off the face of the earth? There's a book called God Wills the Negro, written by Theodore B. Ford in 1939. He said in his book that the ancient Egyptians vanished and the Negro appeared. So wake up, Negroes. Wake up, black folk. Wake up, you African Americans. Find your way back to ancient Egypt and claim your greatness, because it's lying in the continent of Africa unclaimed. Until you claim your greatness, then you can diminish white supremacy, wipe it away, because no other race of people on earth, no matter what race they call themselves, cannot equal what our ancestors did for the whole world of humanity, and that is bring civilization to the world that came out of the culture of those Africans living in ancient Egypt in the continent of Africa. Brother Tarhaka?
Okay, I appreciate it, my brother. Brother Yoel, you want to add something to this here?
I said, Ashe. Amen. Amen. That means that's a finish on that.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm going to take us a little quick break, and when we come back, we can resume. So y'all sit tight for a minute.
Yes, sir.
And
yes, sir.
We'll be right back, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, we listen to Morris Talk Live 100. Special guest, Dr. Walter Williams. Brother Yoel is with us this evening as well. And tonight's topic is the British plot to destroy Ethiopia culture and spiritualism. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be resuming. So y'all hold on.
Hi everybody, I'm Tarhaka. Student loans, child support, credit cards, foreclosure debt, and much, much more are some of the problems facing my people. There's a right way and a wrong way to deal with these problems. Proper status in commerce does play a big role. However, we want to get rid of the so-called debt. Go to www.newdebtelimination.com. That's www.newdebtelimination.com. Let's get off the plantation. Let's not bog down in it. Let's get rid of it by getting rid of these debts. You got to get rid of the debt. If you're going to have a clean start, that's where to start. If you open a business, the first thing you want to do is get out of debt first. Once you get out of debt, now you can think about going forward and doing something different. www.newdebtelimination.com.
Hi, I'm Rashama. Need office space, a business phone system, or a business address for your home-based, mobile, online, expanding, or downsizing business? Go to www.businessfront.space. You can reserve fully furnished private office or meeting space by the hour, utilities and Wi-Fi included. Reserve now at www.businessfront.space. Never miss your mail with our informed delivery service. No matter where you are in the world, sign up for a physical address today at www.businessfront.space. Looking for a new business opportunity? Join Hemp Now Legal by sending an email to theconsciouscouch@gmail.com. Farmers are quitting tobacco and turning to hemp, and so should you. Join Hemp Now Legal by sending an email to theconsciouscouch@gmail.com. Hemp is the #1 superfood and healer, giving you protein, omega-3 fatty acids, magnesium, zinc, and fiber. Boost your metabolism, support weight loss, immune function, depression, and anxiety. Visit Hemp Now Legal by sending an email to theconsciouscouch@gmail.com.
All right, everybody, we're back, and tonight we're discussing the British plot to destroy Ethiopian culture and spiritualism. Our special guest is Dr. Walter Williams. I'm opening up the phone line so we can continue to the end of the broadcast. My brother, brother Yoel is with us also tonight. Dr. Williams, you want to add anything else, something that you have yet to tell us about this situation? I'm looking at
I can add this, Brother Tarhaka. I want to bring to our listening audience the same plot by these Europeans, such as the British, such as Americans, and other Europeans. They have used the same plot on the whole entire world. They go around the world and they destroy the culture and the spirituality of other races of people. For instance, they went into Mexico and they took the Mexicans' culture and destroyed it. And they replaced their culture with the European ideology, what they wanted the Mexicans to believe in. And in order to do that, they had to destroy their culture and spirituality, which they did. When I was in Mexico, I went to the Mayan pyramids there in Mexico. And the tour guide on that tour was a Mexican who was a professor at the University of Mexico. And he told us tourists that when the Europeans came into Mexico, they came in and they brought their white God in there, and their white God, as you know, is Jesus the Christ. They told the Mexicans to accept this white God in place of their God that they had used in their culture for centuries and millenniums. they told these white invaders of Mexico, which was the Spanish-speaking people, who had allied with the Roman Catholic Church. Now, the Roman Catholic Church is involved in this too, what I'm about to say. Because if you go to all Latin countries throughout America, you'll find that the language of these people, no matter where you go, has been changed to Spanish. So in any country that you see the people speaking Spanish, you will also find in the midst of in that country is the Roman Catholic Church. So while in Mexico, the Roman Catholic Church went in with the Spanish terrorizers, and they told the people to accept this image of Jesus Christ as their God, to replace this image of Jesus Christ in place of their God. And they encourage those people to take their children and throw them in the fire and burn their children up. This was the professor who taught at University of Mexico, told us tourists. And he said, when these people threw their children in the fire, these Spanish soldiers and the Roman Catholic Church told the people, said, now, you see, your God did not save your children, but my God will. So that's how they got them to accept this white image of Jesus Christ instead of their God. That's the reason why over in Mexico today they speak Spanish, and the Mexicans are Roman Catholic. They practice Catholicism over there. Going to Hawaii, the same way. They went over there, the Hawaiians. When I went me and my wife took a trip, vacation over in Hawaii, the people over there told us that these missionaries came over there and told the people that to accept the white God, which was Jesus Christ. And they forced them at gunpoint and other tricks that they used on the Hawaiians to get them to accept this white image over there as their God. And they changed the whole culture, spirituality of the Hawaiians. The same thing in Alaska. When the Europeans went into Alaska, did the same thing. So this is a plot, not only in Ethiopia and the rest of Africa. This is the policy and the plan of the European. So they created a policy, plan, and the only thing that they need is the victim. So who's been victimized? Africans, all of Africa, and the Africans living, the indigenous Africans, the Mexicans, the Hawaiians, the Alaskans, and everybody else in between has been victimized and terrorized by this European. So this is some of the things I want to bring out to our African community. I want you to begin to grow. And the only way you begin to grow is that you have to know what happened. Have this information now. You have to know what happened to our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, after the Greeks came into Egypt. You have to know that. In order to know that, you have to study history, ancient history. Your study of history has to begin with the world's first and oldest civilized people known in history as the ancient Egyptians. That's where you have to start your study about finding out what happened to our African ancestors after the Greeks came into Egypt. Study the discipline of history. You have to know the discipline of history. Without the knowledge of the discipline of history, you will never, not ever, ever know what happened to us, our ancestors as a people. You will never know what happened to the rest of the races of people throughout the world. You have to know and study history. You have to study the European history. You have to know the Europeans don't have a beginning date in history. You have to know that. You have to know about Western academia, what they have done to us as a people and in the whole world. Through Western academia, that's where you get all your lies coming forth out of Western academia about Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Herodotus, Euripides, Homer, etc., etc., etc. You get all those lies out here because those lies have been institutionalized. You get all those lies about our ancestors, ancient Egyptians, by what is known as the chronologies of ancient Egypt. Any chronology of ancient Egypt was never written by our ancestors, ancient Egyptians, because the ancient Egyptians never wrote a chronology of themselves or a history of themselves. The chronologies that's out there was written by the Europeans coming from Western academia, creating a chronology of ancient Egypt using the Bible and the biblical characters to do that, and other made-up characters that they can attach to that chronology or those chronologies. Now, interspersed in those chronologies that they created, they use actual pictures, artwork of pictures of like King Tut, Akhenaten, Queen Tai, and they incorporate all that in their chronology, and they call it the chronology of ancient Egypt. The chronology of ancient Egypt was never written by our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians. They did not write a chronology of themselves. They left us, their descendants, an immortal legacy in stone, art, and literature. You have to know that, you see. But you have to study this European. You have to study how devious in their thinking and the devious deeds that they have put upon all of humanity in their institutions. They've created these things. They go around and said that the hieroglyphics has been deciphered. That's misleading. The hieroglyphics has never been deciphered and never will be deciphered. I brought that out in my book, The Historical Origin of Christianity, on page 146, why the Melanesia hieroglyphics has never been deciphered. So we're going to have to do some studying, but you have to start with the world's first and oldest civilized people and start from that point and move forward into the year 2018 and go beyond. But that's your starting point. Don't start no other place else but in ancient Egypt. So therefore, we, descendants of the ancient Egyptians, our African brothers and sisters who are over here in America, 50 to 60 million of us, who are identifying ourselves as being black, which is black and Negro is synonymous. That's a Spanish given name to us. There's another history to that. And this African American. When you use those names, it's misleading. They created in the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C., an African American museum of history and culture. It's telling you, us Africans in this country, and telling the world that our history started in slavery in this country. That's misleading. Don't fall for it. Find your way back to ancient Egypt and study from that point. So that's what I have to say to that, Brother Tarhaka.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Williams. I want to add, for those of you who are listening to this broadcast, if you are on Facebook, if you have a Facebook account, I set up a group called the Moorish Egyptian Educational Study Group, and I have uploaded quite a few videos. So all you got to do is just go and click on those videos and get a tremendous amount of information, a tremendous amount of historical information from these videos. The name of the group is Moorish Egyptian Educational Study Group. just ask to join the group. Y'all know how to do that. Just click on the little thing, and I'll grant y'all access to study so you can go in there. And you'll be in there for quite a while because there's quite a few videos in there that deal specifically with us and our people in Egypt and the history and the whole ball of wax of what Dr. Williams is discussing with us this evening. That's the Moorish Egyptian Educational Study Group right there on Facebook, okay? All right. Now, let's get back over here and open up Dr. Brother Yoel's. Brother Yoel.
Yes, sir.
Give us that location, man, where them books at, and give us a rundown on some of the books and stuff that we might be missing that I know you got up in there. I know you got some of them books.
Yeah.
What you got you think we need to pay attention to in that bookstore?
Well, one, you got Professor Williams' books in here. Y'all can get those through here. That's the Underground Bookstore located in Chicago, of course, at 1727 East 87th Street for those who are visiting or in Chicago or plan to be in Chicago anytime in the near future or distant future. Then you have, of course, the email address. It's the Underground Bookstore at gmail.com, theundergroundbookstore@gmail.com. But now, in terms of the books I have a few books that are out of print. Of course, I'd have to be looking at those books that are out of print, of course. I kind of specialize in finding books that people can't get or having trouble finding. I find those books for them and get them to them so they can have them in their libraries. Also, we have a wide range of other books. So if you want to do you into metaphysics, you got books in metaphysics that you have. A lot of people are looking for those who study metaphysics or what is called metaphysics, or occult stuff, astrology. Some Manly P. Hall, some Blavatsky, some other Europeans out there that's writing on the subject. You got some also political / New World Order kind of books as well, like talking about Committee of 300. That's becoming something that is very hard to get these days because the updated version anyway, because Dick Gregory used to push that book some time ago by John Coleman. And he passed recently, so his wife went back to Europe, so it's hard to get any of those books anymore. So we can get some of the older versions of the book, but the new one is kind of difficult to get right now unless you get somebody gets in touch with her and start distributing it again over here in America. Then that's kind of hard to get right now. And of course, you got Mr. Fuller, but Mr. Fuller, compensatory code, that independent compensatory code, he's distributing it himself right now because he suspected somebody was out here bootlegging that without his knowledge. So he's got his own site doing his thing now, but some people still can't seem to find that that website. So if they can't get it from him, then I can. But then you got we can find some books of Ivan Van Sertima, Golden Age of the Moors, America Revisited, Europe Revisited, and all those books that you're finding hard to find out there right now. For the last few years, the audience should know that you can find those, but you have to find your way to his Ivan Van Sertima's organizational society he set up. Then you can find his go to that website, and his wife still distributes some of his stuff. So, but if they can't find it, of course, I can find that for them. But those books are on the internet, and they can be very pricey because she's not really distributing the book through the internet, and she's not giving it to any book distributors or publishers right now. So she's distributing his stuff on her own. You got so then you got all the history stuff that I carry, especially all of the greats like Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben, Renoko Rashidi, and all of them cats during that time. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Wayne Chandler's Ancient Future. That's an excellent book.
Oh, yeah.
And in fact, it has a couple of prophecies in there that I like to make people aware of, because it's in both of the prophecies. Both of the prophecies in the book, one comes out of India and one comes out of Egypt. But to not go into the long story of them, but they both, in the end, they both come back to explaining that we're going through a life cycle here. The cycle that Professor Williams was talking about when you were in your great and your zenith and whatnot, you fail. Now you don't know who you are and where and who you belong to out here these days. That's a part of the life cycle. Now in my opinion, that book says that actually when the close of the so-called Hindu Kali age should be near, which is where we are right now, decay will continuously continue until the human race approaches its so-called annihilation, or it looks like it's going to reach its annihilation. However, it's not. It's that the prophecy ends by saying that something is going to happen, and something is going to return in you, and perhaps that will speak to what Professor Williams was saying, is when you start looking at yourself and claim that which you're not claiming right now, that's going to happen one day, because you're going to one day wake up somehow because of his books and everything else out there that is pointing in that direction of you one day waking up and completing this cycle, because this cycle has to be completed that we're going through. I think the most important part about it is we're the children of those children who fell, who went to sleep, and now we're the ones who are awakening right now, on our way back to, or pointing the direction on our way back to where we need to go. And that's claiming that great heritage, or that legacy of your Egyptian or ancient Egyptian heritage and whatnot. So that's how that the Indian prophecy ends, but the Egyptian prophecy is a conversation supposedly between Imhotep and Tahuti. Of course, they wasn't contemporary, so I believe that it was Imhotep was in probably perhaps a meditative state of consciousness, and he was communing that way with Tahuti, and so Tahuti was revealing to him what was getting ready to happen. And it starts out by saying, it befits the wise to know all things in advance. Of this you must not remain ignorant. A time will come when divinity will return from earth to heaven. Okay, so I interpret that, in my opinion, to say that, okay, there's a time when you were falling, when your people and all of their righteousness and whatnot was crying out and no help came to them, you were on your own. Sorry. You can't dial up high. You can't dial anywhere. No help is coming for you. You have to go through these tar and feathers and hangings and mutilations and everything else that happened to you. So that's a part of what he was explaining to Imhotep, according to the prophecy. Now, of course, in that prophecy, he made a mention, or in the prophecy it made mention that Imhotep was starting to weep. Well, of course, Tarhaka, if I was telling you that your children and your children's children were finna go through some hard times, you might be a little saddened by that too. You know, so but that prophecy also comes back and ends by saying after they done created all this stuff and these Caucasians are done out here, that went in the end they will do everything that is contrary to the nature of souls and all teachings of souls. And and to me that reveals that there's a war between the souls and the soulless. Okay? And I interpret that to mean that they are the soulless, and that's why they're going to do everything that is contrary to the nature of souls. So, but after they do that, then Imhotep, according to the prophecy, then the God whose power is primary will return and righten all the wrongs and washing away all this wickedness and floods and spreading pestilence, disease everywhere and all of that kind of stuff, getting rid of all of this, and then he will restore the world to its beauty of old. So that's an excellent piece. And then another reason why I like that book pretty much is because it also mentions something in there from Nostradamus. Nostradamus, who Caucasians tend to hold up in front of us as some great predictor or something like that, but he wasn't. He just knew some information. One of the brothers breathed on him, and they pointed some things out, and he caught on to some things. So in his prediction in his book, though, he says when Saturn is he talks about a certain planetary alignment taking place, and when that planetary alignment takes place, that in the end, he said that what will happen is that something that will return from the great Hermes, or Hermes, he says, the book says Hermes, but Hermes is the Greek term used for actually Tahuti. Okay? So when something from Tahuti, ancient Egypt, comes back to you, then everything will shift back to, according to the prophecy, the black nation. Well, he ain't telling me nothing that I don't already believe, but that's how things gonna go back to what they were in the beginning. So we are gonna get back. That's some people that want to see that right away, but time and nature don't move as fast as we would like it to move. It takes its time doing what it needs to do. When you look at what we're doing and what we're doing to ourselves, even we still are our own worst enemies, as they say. We still our own worst enemies, especially with what we believe today. That's messed us up. So, you got a lot of other now that's a good book. Like I said, that's Ancient Future by Wayne Chandler. Then you got a ton of other books on Black Panthers. People are interested in that. Gerald Massey is a white guy who I will promote very, very, very much because he got quite a few books out here. One of that sticks out more amongst us, and that Dr. Clark and Dr. Ben used to push, is called Egypt, Light of the World. That's a 2-volume set by him. Unfortunately, in the academic world, but fortunate for us, they don't recognize him because he didn't come from academia. He was like J.A. Rogers. He didn't go to formal education and get degrees and all this kind of stuff. He wrote and researched on his own. And we know some other great people like that. Mr. Williams did that. He didn't go to those schools and get degrees. I'm sorry, did you get a degree, Doc?
Nope, never.
No.
Only graduated from high school. Didn't want to graduate from high school, but my mother wanted me to graduate and see me walk across the stage to get that worthless document called a diploma. And so I satisfied her to do just that. So that's what I have. I only went as far as high school.
So you see that we got to go ahead.
No, I got my miseducation right here in Chicago, Illinois. That's what I have to say.
So you see that there's a lot of that for all our brothers and sisters out here who think that they didn't go to college and all of that they ain't got nothing, can't be nothing, and won't be nothing. That's a lie. Don't believe that. You can still go on to get your doctor's degree like Dr. Professor Williams and Robert X, that he just gave his doctorate degree with him the last time I think we were on the radio with you. So
that's right.
There's a lot of instances of people who did not go to these schools of academia with these, or as they say, uneducated schools from uneducated fools from uneducated schools that they send us to and all of that kind of stuff. So all you have to do is avail yourself to the information and do the research. And it's out here today. I mean, it's all over the place. It's even on your internet. And again, I keep saying to people that you better get a hard copy book, because hard copies, they're telling you that these hard copies are not going to be around very long, so you better get as many as you can get while you can get them, because they're putting them on PDFs now, and they're collecting them and letting them disappear. And once they do that, they can alter and change any words, paragraphs, pages that they so desire to change in these books. They are doing it already as we speak. I've already found some evidence of that myself. So don't let the internet be your don't just turn into an internetian or YouTubian, and that's all the only places you get your information from. So you might want to collect some of this stuff that's out here right now. A lot of people who are parents are passing, relatives are passing, and they are throwing away their books and stuff like that. So you might want to try to hold on to some of that stuff. And I've gotten some jewels recently from people who relatives didn't want to keep their books, and they just got rid of them because they just believe in it's all on the internet. Naive, of course, don't know what they're talking about, but because it's there, I always have to point to this one thing about this internet. Why does this man call it a net in the first place? Why does he call it a web, a world wide web? Okay, why is that? Those are entrapment tools. So what is he trying to entrap, or who is he trying to entrap by naming it, giving it a name like that, a title like that? And he's slow. He's like a snake. He'll take a long time to pull the string on his trap. He'll take 10, 15, 20 years because he put all that eye candy out there on the internet for people to come and take a look at and want to do everything that they possibly can on there and stay on the phone looking on the internet all day long, walking to and fro, and at their homes, that's all they do is stay on the internet. Meanwhile, he just come out with a new movie called Fahrenheit 451. Fahrenheit 451 is another movie talking about the disappearance of books. He just told us that with Eli, with Denzel Washington in it about 4 or 5 years ago, was it? What are you trying to say to us? Pay attention to the signs. Hollywood, that whole concept, if you don't know, the whole concept of Hollywood came from the old Celtic magician them. Merlin the magician them used to carry what they call a magic wand. That magic wand was made out of a special kind of wood. What kind of wood was that? Hollywood. That wand was, so they created Hollywood, California to be their magic wand to wave whatever illusion they want, create whatever illusion they wanted you to believe in. Okay? But they got to mix truth with falsehoods. So you got to go in and you go sit down and watch some of those movies and figure out the truth from the falsehood when you look at The Matrix. When you look at even Batman, and the Panther movie, where's the truth and where's the falsehood? Now, of course, the magician's power lies where? In his ability to convince you that his illusion is real. Okay? So when you look at this movie and you get entertained, he knows that his trick and his magic is working still. But when you go and you figure out his movies, you done figured out the truth that he dropped in the movie. Your eyes were open and they see, and your ears were open and they heard. Then he know you're waking up. So as long as he can keep you in his illusion, then he know he got you. But when he shows you drop some of these movies and he drops some truths in them, then you got to be able to see those truths. Anyway, that's the movies. But It's a ton of books out here that folks need to really investigate because, how you going to know what's going on if you don't research, if you don't investigate these books, and understand what's going on. Everything that I know of says that this is the time, for instance, you in astrology, what does Aquarius represent? The information age, is that not correct?
That's correct.
And if it represents the information age, that's why we're getting flooded right now with information. Now, you owe it to yourself, Reverend Chickenfoot, and all the rest to do what? Investigate. See what's coming out here. Maybe go pick up historical origin of Christianity and see if that's truth or falsehood. But you owe it to yourself to at least investigate. So that's the same with all other information out here. When you make a decision that you just gonna go by as the Bible, then you gonna be a one book scholar. You're gonna be left behind because these children that are coming on the planet right now got questions that you ain't gonna be able to answer with that.
That's right.
Or the Quran or other books that are out here. You're gonna have to know more than that because the stars of the heavens or Aquarius being what it is says that information is going to come out. So you need to be looking at what's coming out. Put it under the spiritual microscope and decide, okay, I'll keep this or I'll throw that away. And do just that. What they say, get the meat and throw away the bones.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you need to be doing with this information out here. This is your lifeblood. But he keeps us busy. He keeps us chasing that dollar bill. And we ain't got time to look at that. So, unfortunately, that's a hook. You find it very hard to get around, especially if you want to live a certain kind of life right there. So then he can come see you. If you save up enough money to come get your package, he can eliminate that debt.
That's right.
So you got something going. Okay.
We want
for those people who are listening, go ahead.
Remove the burdens.
Yes.
I get calls every day from people.
You do?
They're on the
That's
internet.
good.
They're on the phone. They constantly burdened with that. I work on that all day, every day. From people all over the United States, and I just point them in the right direction, and so that they can get some type of relief and get on with living. Because most of us are too busy making a living to get on with actual living. You overcome the money problem and remove the burden of debt, so that you can see your way clear. A lot of us don't even have time to sit down and read a book. So we're so high.
And by the time they do,
to distractions.
And by the time they do, they old. By the time they do, they old and can't figure it out. What's going on? I never forget there was a guy at one of the festivals that came up to my booth once, and he looked at some of the information, and I guess he was based on the books that are on my table, and somebody had told him that recently. He said he was 50-something years old, and I asked him, what's the problem? He said, I'm pissed off. I said, why? He said, because I'm almost 60 years old, and I'm just finding this stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So he was pissed, and I can understand. I mean, having gone through the academic schools, elementary and high school, and been deceived and miseducated the way that they did, and going through college and stuff like that, and you didn't get anything of substance from that most people didn't even use after they left there, I guess you would be pissed. And some of that education you paid for, your parents paid for. Some of them, they even paid for you to go to private school. Long before you went to college, they were paying for you. So that's upsetting.
Right.
Okay. But anyway, those are some of the books that I can go on naming some those other books and stuff like that. But even if I don't have it, I can get it, or if it can be gotten anyway. So that's pretty much all I got to say on that, Tarhaka.
Okay.
I'll turn it back over to you.
And that's the Underground Bookstore right there in Chicago. And Brother Yoel can get you hooked right on up with those books. Dr. Williams, you still with us?
Oh yes, I'm here, Brother Tarhaka.
Okay. You have anything else that you want to add? We're winding down. The time is leaving us, and I think we've done a wonderful job of dispensing the information on Ethiopia.
Okay.
Anything else you want to add in regards to that?
Well, no, I think we said what we had to say on Ethiopia, and it's very plain and things that we said about Ethiopia. I want to get back to Brother Yoel in the Underground Bookstore, which is a very important bookstore, actually in America and throughout the world, that he may not realize it. There's only 2 African bookstores in Chicago that I know of. And Yoel is the owner of one, the Underground Bookstore, and there's another one there, front line, in the Hyde Park area of Chicago. But Yoel, he failed to give his phone number, which I'm going to give for him, because I want the listening audience to have his phone number to contact him, because he has an array of very important books that our community need to read, and if he don't have it in stock, he can order it for you. You can call him at area code 773-768-8869. Again, that's area code 773-8869. 773-768-8869. 773-768-8869, the Underground Bookstore, Brother Yoel. Another thing I want to piggyback on what Yoel was saying about the internet, what they're going to do in the future to snatch the books off the bookstores, out of the bookstores, and they're placing them on the internet, and they're going to snatch that away from you. And then they can change whatever they want to change in the books that they put online. For instance, right this evening, Brother Yoel had the same article with Thomas Macaulay, who was a member of the British Parliament, saying that he went to Africa, and the email correspondent from whatever source he got it from states that Thomas Macaulay stood before the British Parliament and talked about India. So that is an example, brothers and sisters, Brother Yoel and Brother Tarhaka, of what Yoel is talking about. Someone out there.
Confusion.
Right. They took Africa out of there and put Indian in there, but they left all the other words pertaining to both articles without disruption. The only thing they changed, they took Africa, put India in there. So that's an example of what Yoel was talking about. Again, the children of today are very smart, and you won't be able to control them like the system has controlled us in our generation, Yoel's generation, my generation, Tarhaka's generation, my daughter's generation, my son's generation, etc., etc. For instance, I was in a restaurant around the first of the year. Me and my wife were sitting down at the restaurant, and across from us, sitting at another table, a sister was sitting there with her 2-year-old baby, 2 years old now, and we talking about talking to the mother about her baby, about how cute her baby was and things like that. She seemed to be a smart young lady. And her mother told us, she said, yes, my daughter, she works the computer. I said, how old is she? She said, she's 2. She's a 2-year-old child, baby, able to work the computer. So you can see how smart these children are today. They're not going to fall for that Jesus stuff and that Bible stuff and that Prophet Muhammad stuff. They're not going to fall for that. If you notice that shooting down in Florida, Parkland, Florida, I believe, when all the young
right
people...
here in Jacksonville.
And in Jacksonville, all the young people had a rally against the guns that is made available to the American society. They created a protest all over this country, and you had young people. They created the platform for themselves, and they had speakers, 10 years old, 11, 13, 15, 17, 18 years old, all teenagers and children. What my wife brought out to me, what was happening during the speeches, now, she said, if you notice, Walter, that none of those children ever mentioned about praying to eliminate the problem of the guns being accessible to the American public. She said they didn't talk about Jesus. They didn't talk about no God. They talk about no Bible. And it was very articulate. So, you see, even the children are changing. Christian churches are closing all over America, right up under your nose. Why? Because the lack of attendance. I was listening to Al Sharpton last week when one of his ministers, associates, who come on the radio with him once every week, this minister is out of New York. He said that the churches are closing because they can't pay their bills because of the lack of attendance among the young people. So that is something for you to pay attention to. Another thing I want to bring out is that this coming weekend is going to be I believe, America's largest African festival held in America, but it's going to be in Chicago, which comes out every year during Labor Day weekend. And Brother Yoel has a booth there. In fact, he's got more than a booth. He's got a big spread there of his books, and he runs the lectures there for different authors who come in and want to talk about their book and lecture during that time. He coordinates all of that. And every year he allows me to be a lecturer there. And he allows me to sell my books personally to the people who attend the African Fest. And I want to let you know, if you, wherever you live in America, come to the African Fest beginning next Friday, August the 30th, I believe. Next Friday is the beginning of African Fest, which is also the beginning of Labor Day weekend. And I, Walter Williams, will be there selling my books Saturday and Sunday, the 1st and the 2nd of September. And I will be lecturing that Sunday. All you have to do is ask anybody when you come into the park where the underground bookstore is, and they may have a map, a diagram map to show you where each booth is located in that park, Washington Park. And I will be there along with Brother Yoel And again, I'll be lecturing that Sunday between 4 and 5, the 2nd of September. 4 and 5, I'll be lecturing. And also I'll be selling my books all that Saturday and all day Sunday. So if you plan to come to Chicago, please stop by. We would love to meet you. And again, my 2 books I've written is called The Historical Origin of Christianity. The thesis of that book, I'm saying that there's never been a man that ever walked the earth in human form of any race, creed, or color by the name of Jesus Christ never existed. My second book, that book has been out for 25 years, by the way. My second book has been out for 15 years, called The Historical Origin of Islam. There's never been a man that ever walked the earth in human form of any race, creed, or color by the name of Prophet Muhammad of Islamic tradition. The thesis of that book is saying. So those are my 2 books. It's very informative. Those 2 books are very informative, give you a lot of information. It will create thought. The idea of this program, the idea of my books, the idea of you're having an underground bookstore is to provoke thought in the minds of our African people. When you begin to provoke thought in your mind and you begin to think, you begin to evolve at that point. And if you want to contact me, Walter Williams, you can contact me at Ancient Egyptian at msn.com. Ancient, ANCIENT, at Egyptian, EGYPTIAN, at msn.com. Ancient Egyptian at msn.com. Write me, put your phone number there, and I'll get back to you, and we can converse further. Okay? And I want the listening audience know that I, Walter Williams, I love you, and I want you to evolve as a people. I want you to grow, and I want you to find your way back to ancient Egypt and start from that point and claim your greatness, because your greatness, our greatness as an African people, is lying in the continent of Africa. And you cannot start no other place on earth to start your research. You start it right there in ancient Egypt and come forward into the year 2018 and beyond. So with that, my brothers and sisters, again, I love you. And Tarhaka, my brother, I love you. Yoel, my brother, I love you. And I want you to keep on doing what you're doing, brother Yoel. And Tarhaka, I thank you, and I thank you, and I thank you, and I thank you for having a program and allowing me to come on, and brother Yoel to come on to your program once a month. I appreciate you. I really do. And I'm humbled by you having me on as your guest. Thank you again.
Listen, Tarhaka, I want to add a little something to that before we close. And of course, first and foremost, I thank you also for and appreciate you for allowing us to come on for me to weigh in my little 2 cents. So appreciate that. Sometimes we don't recognize our greatness because we keep looking in the mirror and seeing ourselves as, oh, that's just Yoel, or that's just Walter, or that's Tarhaka. We don't realize how much bigger than that you are. Give you an example. He mentioned the store. Not just last week, but the week before. The week before, I had a Caucasian lady and an Indian come in the store from Seattle, Washington. I said, how did y'all hear about me? On the internet. I said, oh, okay, all right. They came in, they spent money, they bought books. Almost at the same time they were leaving, here comes a couple of Arab or Muslims, I say Muslim, and one Arab and one looked like he was a Caucasian, pretending, trying to be an Arab or a Muslim. They looked like they were maybe in their 30s. They came in, though, with a guy who who was he was a professor from Turkey. So here they come after this Seattle, Washington thing. Here comes this guy from Turkey. He was a professor. They both bought him some books in there in the bookstore. So I didn't get a chance to ask him how did they hear about me, but that's all the way from Turkey all the way over here to Underground Bookstore. And I'm like, man, check that out. Then the next day, here comes a guy born in Jamaica but living in England with his Caucasian wife and child. They came in and bought books. I said, oh, I'm going national and international now, huh? So I found that very interesting, though. Saying that to say I found that very interesting, and you never know how far things reach out when you go out there, when you're out here, or how people heard about it, whether it's internet or word of mouth or whatever the case is. That was fantastic to me, and it was like mind blowing for a moment there. Because, but lastly, I say this: that it's not until we start looking into the mirror and seeing ourselves for who we really are, then and only then can we break the spell that binds us. Okay? That's correct. Black, colored, and all of that other stuff. You start looking at yourself, claiming who you really are. All right, that's all.
Brother Yoel, I want you to give slowly your address of the Underground Bookstore and your phone number.
Okay. The address to the Underground Bookstore in Chicago is 1727 East 87th Street. 1727 East 87th Street in Chicago. Okay? You can Google it, that address. You know, it's funny how all this stuff on the internet that's out there, I didn't put it out there. Other folks just been putting it out there. You even got a picture out there with me on the internet standing in front of the store. I didn't put it out there. Somebody else came by here and snapped my picture and put it out there. So it's funny how all this stuff happens. But anyway, also the telephone number is 773-768-8869. 773-768-8869. Okay, that's about it. And gave the email, of course, is the Underground Bookstore at gmail.com. Thank you.
Well, all right. And the way to get a hold of Dr. Walter Williams is the Ancient Egyptian at msn.com.
That's correct.
Yes, sir.
Ancient Egyptian at msn.com. Email me, put your phone number there, and I'll call you back, and we can converse from that point.
Yeah. Okay, well, gentlemen, that is a wrap. I certainly appreciate y'all for being on here. And I'm going to go ahead and close it down before they kick me down.
Okay.
And, I look forward to us next month doing our thing again. And, ladies and gentlemen, I certainly appreciate y'all for being here on this broadcast with me and Dr. Walter Williams and Brother Yoel as we bring some more enlightening information. And we will continue to do so as we continue to have breath. But anyway, I'll say good night to everyone. And you all have
and may out hotel.
May out hotel, my brother.
Okay, may out hotel.
May out hotel, Dr. Williams. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps it up. I've been your host, Tarhaka, Mount L Bay, and until next time, y'all have a good evening.